Hello students, this is a demo video for the students of class 12 who are going to face the accountancy examination, the board exam of 2022-23 session. So today I am going to discuss about the chapter of accountancy, that is ratio analysis. Ratio analysis. What is ratio? What is ratio analysis? So uh, it is a technique. If we talk about ratio analysis, so ratio analysis is a technique of analyzing financial statement, financial statement of a firm or a company. Ratio analysis is a technique of analyzing financial statements of a company or a firm to conduct a quantitative analysis of information. Quantitative analysis of information means the data. Quantitative analysis means the data provided in the balance sheet, trading, PL and appropriation account. So it is a statement to conduct a quantitative analysis of information in a company's financial statements. So ratio analysis provides you the study of relationship among various financial factors in businesses. So without wasting our time, I am going to tell you few important topics. Students, you are knowing that if you have studied this chapter, you all of you knows that there are four kinds of ratio given in your book. That is liquidity ratio, solvency ratio, solvency ratio, activity or turnover ratio, and last one is profitability ratio. So today I'm going to teach you few tricks of activity or turnover ratio. Rather, my trick is applicable to all these four ratio. Then also I'm especially going to tell you about activity or turnover ratio. In this, many of you get confused or can't able to memorize the formulas. If you learn then also at the time of examination you forget the formulas. So I'm going to tell you some master tricks. By following that, you will not be forget any formula. Okay. So we are going to study about turnover ratio or activity ratio. First of all, I'm going to tell you about the formula trick of this. So in this chapter, if it is given as AB ratio, don't be panic by seeing this. I will elaborate all the tricks. So if it is given AB ratio, then you will put the formula as B upon A. There are two different things, A and B. Now, if it is given as A to B ratio, then you can write it as A upon B. Understood? Now, at the end of this, I will tell you the exception. There is only one exceptional formula for this, where this trick is not applicable. Otherwise, this trick is applicable in each and every formula of this chapter. So we are going to uh, study about turnover ratio. Now, see, there are many kinds of turnover ratio. I am going to tell you only three turnover ratio to you. Creditors turnover ratio. If it is given creditors turnover ratio, then you can write it as creditor is A and turnover is B. So you can write it as turnover upon creditors. And if it is given creditors if it is given creditors to turnover ratio. Then you can write it as creditors upon turnover. Now you will ask that why you have written turnover here, because in the book here is given something else, and why you have written creditors here in the books there is given something else. Nothing else is given in your book. This is a trick. So listen here, what is the turnover for the creditors? यहाँ पे क्रेडिटर्स के लिए टर्नओवर क्या है? व्हाट इज द टर्नओवर फॉर द क्रेडिटर्स? क्रेडिटर्स के लिए टर्नओवर होता है, हु आर क्रेडिटर्स फॉर यू? सो फॉर अस creditors are those persons who have, from whom we have purchased anything in credit, on the credit basis. Creditors are those persons from whom we have purchased anything on the credit basis. Means we have not provided them cash. उधारी पे हमने सामान खरीदा है किसी से. Those are creditors for us ना. So here, जैसे मैंने किसी से उधारी पे सामान खरीदा है किसी से, तो those are creditors for us. So here turnover, here for the creditors turnover is credit purchase. हमने उधारी पे सामान खरीदा है, credit purchases. And in place of creditors, somewhere in the question, if it is given only creditors, then you will directly write here creditors. Otherwise you will write, if in the question it is given opening creditors, closing creditors, opening trade payables, closing trade payables, then you will write here average creditors, average creditors. So don't you forget that it is not, this formula is not only for the creditors turnover ratio, this formula is applicable to trade payables turnover ratio. Is it clear? Trade payables, for trade payables turnover ratio also this formula is applicable. So we can write it here as credit purchases upon average creditors, or credit purchases upon average trade payables. Okay. Now credit to turnover ratio, we can write it as a creditors upon turnover, and same as this formula we will reverse here. What will be the formula becomes? Average creditors upon credit purchases. I think that आप सभी को ये ट्रिक क्लियर हो गया. अगर आपके फॉर्मूले में दिया हुआ है ए बी रेशियो, then you will write it as B upon A, and if it is given as A to B ratio, then you will write it as A upon B. Here it is given creditors turnover ratio, we have written it as turnover upon creditors, and here we have written creditors to turnover ratio, then we have written it as creditors upon turnover. Now here for the creditors, turnover is credit purchases and creditors are average creditors. Now same as it is for the debtors turnover ratio. For the debtors turnover ratio, we will write it as turnover upon debtors, turnover upon debtors. And for the debtors, हमारे लिए debtors कौन होता है? हमारे लिए debtors वो होते हैं जिनसे, जो हम लोगों से उधारी में सामान खरीद के लेके जाते हैं, जो हमसे क्रेडिट में परचेज करके ले जाते हैं, यानी कि हमने क्या किया, उन्हें क्रेडिट सेल्स किया, क्रेडिट सेल. ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे डेटर्स के लिए टर्नओवर क्या हो जाएगा? क्रेडिट सेल्स, क्रेडिट सेल्स अपॉन, यहाँ पे आप एवरेज डेटर लिखिए या डेटर, अगर आपके क्वेश्चन जो आपको दिया जा रहा है वहाँ पे ओपनिंग डेटर एंड क्लोजिंग डेटर दिया हुआ है, तो आप यहाँ पे एवरेज डेटर लिखेंगे. अदरवाइज एवरेज डेटर की जगह आप सीधे डेटर ही केवल लिख देंगे. क्लियर? नाउ सेम एज इट इज वी आर गोइंग टू सी इन्वेंट्री टर्नओवर रेशियो. इन्वेंट्री और स्टॉक, इन्वेंट्री और स्टॉक टर्नओवर रेशियो. for the inventory or stock turnover ratio, the formula becomes turnover upon, here this is A and this is B. It becomes turnover upon inventory. And for us, what is turnover for the inventory? इन्वेंट्री के लिए टर्नओवर क्या होता है? इन्वेंट्री के लिए बेटा टर्नओवर क्या होता है बताओ? इन्वेंट्री के लिए टर्नओवर होता है जितनी लागत का हमने सामान बेच दिया है, यानी कि कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड्स सोल्ड, जो हमने गुड्स सोल्ड किया उसकी कॉस्ट प्राइस क्या है? तो कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड्स सोल्ड फॉर द इन्वेंट्री वी विल सी हियर कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड्स सोल्ड COGS अपॉन एवरेज इन्वेंट्री और एवरेज स्टॉक. So I hope that these three formula you will never forget in your life. For lifetime, remember this trick and this formula. These three formulas are very big challenges for the students to memorize it. So by this trick you can learn it easily. I hope that आप सभी को ये वीडियो पसंद आया होगा. अगर हमारा वीडियो आपको पसंद आया हो तो आप इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करिए, हमारे वीडियो को लाइक करिए और अपने दोस्तों से शेयर करिए. थैंक यू एवरीवन.